Good evening. Thanks for coming out tonight. This is a neat thing, and I appreciate being invited. One of the bills that we looked at closely with the Sheriff's Office was AB 236, which is the crime reform legislation. The end result wasn't as bad as we feared, but I wasn't real happy with any of it that came out, but it wasn't as bad as we thought. A couple of the things that happened was that it lowered so in Nevada, you have different categories in felonies. Category A is the most severe and carries with it the highest bail amounts and sentencing. And then you go down to A, B, C, D, and E. And an E felony is the lesser of them. And so they restructured the penalties or the categories for burglary examples. So they lowered some of those thresholds, and they remain all felonies, but they wanted to make them misdemeanors and gross misdemeanors, which would have been absolutely ridiculous, but they didn't. So if someone breaks into your home, it's still a category B felony. If they break into a business, it's a C felony. Motor vehicle or auto burglary is an E felony. Any structure other than a dwelling or a business is a D felony. And then home invasion, which is basically burglary, but the residence is occupied, is still a B felony. The other thing that we looked at closely or monitored was what they were going to do to narcotics violations. California has really taken huge steps to decriminalize narcotic offenses. And what that has done is increase the use of hard drugs within the community. And you can see that not too far away, less than 20 miles away in the city of South Lake Tahoe, where heroin is being used openly, and the most they can do is just give a ticket for someone who's in possession of heroin. Nevada went towards that, but not quite. So all drug offenses for Schedule 1 through 5 drugs are still felonies, but they've reduced the severity of them. And so to give you an example, possession less than 14 grams is an E felony. Low-level drug possession, 14 grams to 28 grams is a C felony. Mid-level drug possession, 28 grams to 42 grams is a B felony. So it's based on the amount of the drugs that you have, okay? 14 grams is quite a bit. That's a large possession when you're talking about heroin, methamphetamine, cocaine, and those types of drugs. So not a good step, but it's much better than making it a misdemeanor. And the problem with making anything a misdemeanor, specific to drug violations, is I cannot arrest anyone on a misdemeanor unless I witness the offense. All right? A felony can be committed outside of my presence or outside law enforcement's presence, and we can still make an arrest, okay? So it lowers the enforcement tools that we have if they decriminalize these and make them a felony. If they go even further and make them infractions, then that's basically just a civil penalty, and it really decriminalizes things. I believe that that's where they want to go. They want to make Nevada just like California as far as their drugs. They look at drugs as a victimless crime, all right, which is absolutely ridiculous. Most people that break into your homes or your vehicles or steal things from the store are supporting some sort of substance abuse problem, okay? So whether you're the direct victim of the theft or when you go to Walmart to buy new headphones for your iPhone and they're twice as much as they were last week because of the theft and the store raises their prices, you're affected. And so there's no such thing as a victimless crime, and narcotics are certainly that. The other thing that they did was to raise the threshold on theft, so the amount that you have to steal to make it before it's a felony has been raised quite a bit. So now for a D felony, it's $1,200 to $5,000 is the value of the item stolen before it's a felony. Well, I got a lot of cool stuff, but I don't have a lot of really expensive cool stuff. Right? And if you steal it, I want there to be some consequences. There has to be some accountability. And by raising these levels and decriminalizing things, you take away that accountability and you take away the justice for the victim, in my opinion. And so those are things that we're looking at. It doesn't affect how we will enforce these laws in Douglas County. If you are in possession of a drug, no matter how much or little, you're going to jail. If you are selling drugs, you're going to jail. And we will aggressively continue to work that just as we had before. The big impact of all these is on the sentencing and the penalty phase of it. And it's, they don't want to put people in prison. And I don't necessarily want to either, but there's some people that deserve to be in prison. And then I don't want them in my community. And we've seen that the first of this year, haven't we? And then a little later when that guy from San Francisco came. That's all drug related. All drug related. And so those are the things we're looking at. The other thing I'll touch on real quick are the Second Amendment Bill 143. I've spoken on that before. I encourage you to go to the Nevada Sheriffs and Chiefs Association website. All 17 sheriffs in the state of Nevada signed a letter. And basically the letter says that we support the Second Amendment, we support the U.S. Constitution, we support the Nevada Constitution, and our right to possess and bear firearms. And then with regard to 291, that law scares me for a lot of reasons, and mainly is it appears to be very unconstitutional because it removes the due process that should be required before anyone can confiscate your property. All right, and firearms are property. First and foremost, they're property. And if we refuse to look at them that way, then that lets us get into and subvert the Constitution. And the other part of this problem, or the other thing that scares me about this, is I do not want to send one of my deputies to a home based on some third-party account that so-and-so shouldn't have a gun, and then I have to go confiscate it. That is a recipe for disaster. Okay, that's how my guys are going to get hurt. So that's good. So we've got the constitutionality on it, and then we've got the absolute safety of it, okay? So that, luckily, just as was said before by Jim, a lot of these laws, there's lots of things that can still happen to prevent these, and I'm sure Senator Settlemeyer will get into that, and thank goodness for that. But be out, be active like you are, and stand up for your rights just as you're doing, and I will be there right with you, hand in hand, ensuring that we don't go down that hole that California has. That we do not want to go there. California's a wonderful state. What a beautiful state. What a mess it is in. We do not want that. Thank you.